Hello, and welcome to Sportsified News. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. This is BasketballGM.
Sportsified.
So what is DBGM? Well, it's a simulator that, just simulates a regular NBA season. It's kind of like NBA 2K, except you don't actually watch them play. So we're going to be playing with real teams and real players today. And to figure out which team I'm going to be the general manager for, we're going to hit this random button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like we're going to be the San Antonio Spurs. Set the difficulty to normal, start it in the 2021 preseason, and hit Create League. So we are the San Antonio Spurs. Let's look on this left side of this panel here and check out our roster. So as we know, the Spurs, they have DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge as their 2 best players. Aldridge's play has declined in recent years, but he's still a serviceable starter at the center position. So how BasketballGM works on the roster screen here is your top 5 players, as indicated by that tealish color, are your starters. Now it doesn't have to be in order by position, but I like to do that so I can just have a visual of who is playing where. So our point guard is going to be DeJounte Murray, shooting guard Derek White, small forward DeMar DeRozan, our best player, power forward Rudy Gay, and center LaMarcus Aldridge. Now off the bench, we will have Jakob Poeltl. He's a pretty good backup center. Patty Mills, same thing, but at the point guard position. Keldon Johnson, this year in the actual NBA, he's kind of been playing pretty well for the Spurs. Also, their 2020 first-round pick, Devin Vassell out of Florida State. He's a good potential 3-and-D player. Trey Lyles, he's a pretty good shooter. Lonnie Walker, I think he was a pretty high draft pick, but he's had some struggles. So there's not, on the bottom of this roster, there's not too much to hope for. But, Trey Jones there, actually, he's pretty good at Duke. Took him in the second round of the 2020 draft. But yeah, the Spurs roster is pretty good, can maybe sneak into the Western Conference playoffs. And we're just gonna, cement our regular season. Let's check transactions to see if any teams have many deals coming into the regular season. Looks like, nope, there would be something here if there was, free agent signing and trade made. So, with that said, let's simulate our first game. Over here, it looks like we're going to be playing the Dallas Mavericks. They have Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, but this season in the real NBA, they have struggled. They're actually 14th in the Western Conference right now with a 9-14 record. Most recently, getting blown out by the Golden State Warriors. But here in our fantasy league, anything could happen. So let's sim this game. Jakob Poeltl was injured, but it looks like, we won by 22 points over the Mavericks. Let's just check the stats. DeMar DeRozan had a very good game. Pretty efficient, 29 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Derek White only scored 6 points, but LaMarcus Aldridge a double-double, 22 points, and 10 rebounds. DeJounte Murray, 11, 4, and 4. Rudy Gay, 9, 7, and 2. Keldon Johnson off the bench actually had 19 points. That's something to look for this season if he can be a good scorer. Let's head back to the dashboard. So I'm trying to figure out if we should do a rebuild here or try to contend. We have pretty good trade chips, actually, in DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, maybe DeJounte Murray. And if we can trade them and get good picks, then I'd say we could get a pretty good rebuild going. But also, if these young players develop, and alongside DeRozan and Aldridge as the veterans, we could contend. I'm all in favor of winning, so let's try to contend this year. So, you usually trade young players and picks to get good veterans that can help you make the playoffs. What if we would trade Devin Vassell? Probably not going to do this because he's really good potential to be a 3-and-D guy, kind of the guy that, starting shooting guard, small forward, he'll provide, a lot of value on the defensive end. Yeah, Jarrett Allen would be a very good pickup. But we have LaMarcus Aldridge and Jakob Poeltl, so I'm not going to, pull the trigger on that right now, only one game into the season. The Oklahoma City Thunder, for Devin Vassell, are offering a first-rounder and a second-rounder. But again, we're trying to contend, not rebuild. Mitchell Robinson comparable to Jarrett Allen, but I don't know if Devin Vassell is worth it, or it's worth trading Devin Vassell. The finance here is not going to work, but Aaron Gordon and Terrence Ross would be really nice pickups. Yeah. So nothing's going to work fine. Ooh. I see the financial doesn't work with this, but what if we added a player to make this work for the Pistons, Jeremy Grant? Let's sort by contract here. So to match contracts, Luka Semenich, however you say that, he would make this deal work, and I'm pretty sure the Pistons would do that. Is it worth it though, trading Devin Vassell and Luka Semenich for Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant's a 64 overall. The average starter is 55, so he's a pretty good player, kind of on the verge of being a star. The first game of the season, he scored 27 points, 3 boards, 5 assists. Let's do this. Let's try to contend this year. So, the trade went through. We gotta resort the roster now. Yeah, so Jeremy Grant will be our power forward, and we get pretty good scoring with Rudy Gay off the bench. So that is now looking like a pretty good lineup, and maybe we could snag like the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Now the West is a pretty loaded conference, so it could be hard. But Jeremy Grant there is definitely going to help. Let's go back and sim a week now with our new starting lineup with Jeremy Grant. The week is over, and down here Keldon Johnson was injured this week, but a pretty good week. We went 4-3, pretty tough schedule actually, and we had wins over the Nuggets here and the Lakers. Let's check the roster to see the guys' stats and how we're what's our record? 5-3. That's pretty good. DeJounte Murray, I would hope for more than that. He does play really good defense though, so of course that doesn't show up in the stats right there. Derek White, just kind of average shooting guard. DeMar DeRozan, yeah, those are his average numbers, but the 8.3 assists right there, that really stands out. So he's being a good facilitator. Jeremy Grant, that's exactly what we wanted. A guy who can score and defend, and 25 points a game, 5.3 rebounds. And LaMarcus Aldridge, wow, 20 points a game. And our bench is looking pretty solid too, especially Keldon Johnson there. So I'm pretty excited about this, and we could do something. Over here we have league headlines, so it tells about transactions. Not all of them, just the bigger ones, and also like player feats, crazy stat lines. Luka Doncic has 39 points, 12 rebounds, 14 assists for the Mavericks. Let's go ahead and sim a month and see how our team's doing, closer to the midway point of the season and the trade deadline. Here we are, 36 games in the season, that's around halfway. And, pretty good, 21-15, that's 5th in the Western Conference. We've had a lot of injuries, but they were short and players recovered quickly. It's pretty good. That Jeremy Grant trade has helped us out a lot. Let's check the roster and see how we're at. 21-15, that's really good. DeMar DeRozan, 20 points a game, 7.5 assists a game. Jeremy Grant averaging 21. Marcus Aldridge close to 20. Keldon Johnson, he's developing pretty well. 7.7 and 3.7. Our bench, I think, could use a little work near the trade deadline. As we get closer to that, I think we should look for ways to upgrade that. But from our starters, pretty much all you could ask for, besides DeJounte Murray. I feel like we need more playmaking there, but DeMar DeRozan is providing it from the small forward spot. Let's look at the standings to see how this season is shaping up. The Brooklyn Nets with their big three of James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving are 27-9. Celtics, Heat, Bucks, Pacers, Raptors, Bulls, Hawks. That is surprising. The Philadelphia 76ers are 16-19. That's kind of surprising. But the rest, the Wizards, Magic, Cavs, Hornets, Knicks, Pistons, no surprises there. In the Western Conference, our conference, goes Clippers, Lakers, Blazers, Warriors, Spurs. That's us. 5th in the West. That's pretty good. Let's head back to the dashboard. I'm going to sim until the trade deadline. We'll check out our record then and maybe make some moves. It wasn't a great stretch of games. I think we went about 500 heading up to the trade deadline, but we're sitting at 27-23, still 5th in the conference. We picked up big wins over the Lakers and the Warriors right there, as they are still ahead of us in the standings right there. But wow, Portland, that's good for the Trailblazers. But Denver, the Nuggets, they're back into the playoff race now, and so are the Mavericks. The Suns too. This is shaping out to be a pretty good race. I think we're sitting comfortably in the playoffs at this point though. Let's check out our roster and see if we need to make any moves to contend even more. Right now, DeMar DeRozan is out for 1 game and Jeremy Grant out for 4. Nothing to be concerned about. But yeah, Jeremy Grant has played well. DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, our 3 best players, they're performing like they should. Rudy Gay off the bench, averaging almost 10 points a game. I do think we need a veteran bench scorer though. Maybe a guard. Yeah, because we got a forward, center, 2 more forwards here. This might be a stretch, but what if we could pick up Lou Williams from the Los Angeles Clippers? He's like multiple time 6 man of the year. I don't even know how many at this point. But if you can get a 6-man candidate like that off your bench, you're doing good. Yeah, this year he's averaging like 15 points a game. So I'll say Austin Clippers will make this deal work for Lou Williams. They want Derek White. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good deal. Lou Williams is owed $6.2 million. His contract expires at the end of the year. Derek White $3.5 million expires at the end of the year. But if we could just do something to make this salary work, I'm definitely okay with that. We could even start Lou Williams because we're giving up our starting shooting guard. So plugging Lou Williams right back into that spot, he's good even if he's not coming off the bench. So we package in Drew Eubanks. Yeah, that makes the salary work. He's not doing much this season. Let's do that. So we're going to acquire Lou Williams for Derek White and Drew Eubanks. Trade offer accepted. Let's go back into our roster. So we are going to be starting Lou Williams, and that is looking like a pretty good starting lineup. Except we might need to shore out that point guard position. I talked about earlier. We need more playmaking. So Rajon Rondo, comes to mind when you think of playmakers. So the Hawks, yeah, they want to contend, but if we give them a good enough offer, I think they might give us Rajon Rondo. He's on a $2.6 million contract, expires at the end of the year. We'll make the trade work. They want Rudy Gay. That's going to be very hard to do because of finances, so I'm going to hit the X here, and all the players above that are on a high salary, so we don't have to make the money work. Who else would they take? Trey Lyles. Let's do that. He's averaging just 3 points off the bench, and while I do think he's a quality role player, Rajon Rondo at the point guard position, that's really all you could ask for. Finance is not going to work right now. We need to take our money from them, it looks like. So if we could take Solomon Hill, to kind of replace Trey Lyles' spot on the bench. Solomon Hill's a forward as well. That would work. Let's see how this. Yes, that they accepted. So this trade immediately improves our roster. So we're gonna start. No. Let's bring Rondo off the bench. DeJounte Murray provides really good defense, and we need a quality bench player along with Rudy Gay. So I think our bench now looks solid, and our starting lineup: DeJounte Murray, Lou Williams, DeMar DeRozan, Jeremy Grant, and LaMarcus Aldridge. It may not be championship quality, but it's a solid playoff spot. So I think that's where we're gonna end this video. Part 1 of the season, sitting at 27 and 23, 5th in the West. Made some pretty good deals, and now I think we could get a solid spot in the playoffs. Thanks for tuning in to Sportsified News. Make sure to check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.